Well, it is test time to see if the float ball floats, and also to see if we have any leaks. In case you're wondering about why I am speaking rather strangely, this is just for Dave of Classic Connell Dave, but it's not me. I talk differently to my brother because we were both brought up differently. Yes, ain't life a bitch. Well, looks like we are good. Not got any leaks here, and the floats and has settled at the same level as the jet in there, so we're good to go for this carburetor. The other one is not going to be so easy. Why, you ask? Well, because it's got the starter carburetor on it, and I need to turn that starter carburetor a little more before I tighten up the bottom and give this a test. So give me a few minutes. Okay, now we have the one with the starter carb. Poured fuel in there, it popped up through there as expected. Now, let's get a light on this, hang on a second. Let's see if this leaks. I don't believe it, I don't see anything so far. Alright, I'm going to leave this for an hour or so and see if we get any leaks, and then I'll come back. Can't remember whether I mentioned it before, but I managed to solve the problem here with the cross thread. I just managed to get this nut to go in, and it's done perfectly. Problem I have is that I scratched this, so I think what I'm going to go do is that paint that my brother had looked remarkably good, so that means I just got to scrape this off and respray it, or mask it all up and respray it, if this doesn't leak. And I think that's probably what I'm going to do. Well, I still have fuel in here, and it appears this is not leaking. So now I can put the carburetors back on. I've got to shorten this pipe, it's too long. I still don't like the colour of that shit. I got a feeling I'm gonna have to look and see if I've got any black fuel line that's that size, because that really galls me, that bloody awful colour. Let me check. Well, I'm buffing up the dash pots. Now there are lots of pits on it, and I could, you know, sand all those down and deal with it, but I'm not going to. I don't want to take away the character that is there, not fully. Now they probably were never polished to that degree, but there's a before and after for you. Obviously the one on the left has been done. I know it still shows its little battle scars, and the one on the right is dull. I did have these lacquered, and it seemed to dull it down. I'm gonna leave these plain and polished without the lacquer and see how they go. If they fade so quickly that I have to polish them every week, then I'll probably do that, won't I? No. I'll probably lacquer them. Something else I want to show you. This is what I'm using in my angle grinder, this wheel. It's called Polish Plus felt wool, and this is the style that I'm using at the moment. This is just for this cutting compound. I will be using a different one. Let me show you. Okay, over here. I'll be using this one with this compound, which is a much finer polishing compound, or I may use these small wheels that I've got. This one, as you can see, didn't wear too evenly. Probably Chinesium crap. And I have all these other little polishing pads to use if need be. We'll see how it goes. We'll see. I'm not going to go crazy on this. We will see. All right, let's move on to finishing this other one off. Then start bolting the carburetors in. Oh, also something else I've decided to do. You can see I've coated this one in like a, it says it's chrome, but it's more like a dusted aluminium. The other pipe that I wasn't happy with is this one, so I'm going to paint that in that dusted aluminium as well. So hopefully that will look rather nice. Just got to get it done. Okay, that is one carburetor body now in, tightened up. Next will be to put the second one in, or the front carburetor, and hook up the pipes to the manifold, and then start sorting out the linkage between the two carburetors. That'll be fun. Okay, second carburetor now in position. I can tell you, doing it without the what do you want to call them? Not the vacuum chambers. What the hell do you call the bit on the top? Old age is a bastard, I tell you. Not the vacuum chamber. Dashpot? Yeah, maybe it's dashpot. Anyway, without those in place, it is so much easier to do the nuts and bolts up. I've now positioned the starter carburetor in the correct angle, and I've chopped off those yellow pipes. I couldn't stand them, and I've gone for the good old black rubber. Never mind, eh? I've still got the joining bar to go in between the two carburetors. I'm not going to do that until I've connected up the starting carburetor to the manifold, the intake manifold. Once I've got that done, then I will put in the bar that goes between the two carburetors, and at the same time install the springs that return it, and the oh no, I can't, I was going to say, and the oh, come on Gary, brain cell. No, I can't do the, I've got to do the air filters at the same time as I do the linkage to the throttle pedal, because there's a bar that goes between the two carburetors that has the linkage on it, but that needs to go through the two air filters. That's going to be a fun lot to put together, but I will do it, and I will show you as I progress doing each stage. Ah, yes, yes, yes. Oh, and I've also repainted the fuel feed pipes, or pipe, because I didn't like the way it looked, and I've done it in the same finish as the pipe there that goes from the starter carb, sort of like a brushed aluminium, I guess. Okay, let's get on with it. Not sure if you can see the redness on my hand, but I've just been struggling to get the pipe, the fuel line on between the starting carburetor and the intake manifold, and I can tell you that was a struggle, and that hurts. Well, hopefully you're getting a view of this. Now don't worry, those clips are not tight, but that's the hose that I was struggling to get on, and I had to bend it in half to get it on there, and then slid it over to the left as far as I could get it, and then got the right hand side on and pushed it back. That was a bit of a struggle, I can tell you that right now. Yeah. The joys of working on classic cars, eh guys? And of course, you know, had I done all this before I put the engine in, been a lot easier, but I don't think putting the engine in with the carburetors is a good idea. Is on, or even on. Right, next is tighten up those screws. Get the linkage in between the two carburetors. So let's get on and do that. Okay, these retainers are now on. This is still loose. This is tight. This is for that spring. This one I will deal with in a minute. I've got the linkage to go there. I've also got a spare one here. You see, that's not used. I can only assume that that might be for an automatic, you know, like for the kick down. Don't know, I'm just guessing. Okay, so next is to get the spring on that goes here, and link up the throttle linkage. So that means putting on the air filters, and when I do that it's going to be a real pain in the ass because the air filters are going to get right in the way of me doing anything else on this side. I think, he says, thinking out loud, I'm going to put that fuel pipe on first before I put the air filters on, because otherwise I'm going to be struggling with that. Okay, fuel pipe next. Okay, putting in this fuel line, I just attached it to the tops of the bowls, and no, they're not fixed yet, and dropped it on there, and just slip that in there for the moment. Now what I want to do is get the overflow pipes and put those in. Trying to do it all at once would be an absolute nightmare, so I'm trying to do it what I think is quite a sensible way. I mean, if you don't agree, well, you don't agree. So now it's a case of getting the overflow pipes in, pointing them where I want to point them, and making sure I get those washers correct, because remember they have the special fibre washer and you don't want to get that in the wrong place. Okay, there, beautiful little spring there. I had it on the other way around originally, didn't like it, so I thought, I'll turn it around. Didn't the fucking thing shoot off and disappear? And I mean, it disappeared. I could not see it. The only way I found it in the end was to get my car back on the ramp, which is where it needed to be anyway, and crawl underneath. Then I found it tucked up behind the starter. I thought that's where it had gone, but I couldn't reach it, so eventually I found it. Right, so I have one more spring to put on over there. I have the linkage mechanism to put on. I'm going to bend this float pipe out a little bit, but I'll do that from underneath. I'm going to push this video out now before I've completed this job, because you guys haven't had one for a while and I'm sure you're pining for more crap from me. Look at that, that's touching there. What can I do about that, I wonder? Probably not a whole lot. So what I may have to do is try and bend that pipe back, just so it's not touching, because I know where it's going to go. Ding, 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 ding. It's going to drive me fucking nuts. So a little bit of persuasion with a hammer and a block of wood, maybe, with just to push it back a few centimeters, or even fractions. All right, as always, guys, get in that garage, go do some shit. I got a lot more shit to do.